Hello, family. It's Rosalind again. So, you know what that means. That means it's time for Real Talk Now. A Marine story. A Marine's story. That's what we're going to talk about this evening. Semper Fi. Now, whether I said this very familiar word correctly or not, a true Marine knows all too well the meaning, which is always faithful. A Marine's decorum is taught from the first day of service. Maintain decorum is what many Marines must tell themselves in order to always be faithful and always be true. Prayer, we know that prayer is a powerful weapon, a powerful tool used by many to help them keep the course, including our dedicated Marines. They're taught to keep their eyes ahead, be cautious, but continue moving along. They strut a cadence to a familiar drill, a familiar sergeant's drill song. The result is to tap into the vigorous training that awaits them. Having been trained, having been trained well, if they remain rigid and continue to book on their assigned journey, they are deemed worthy of Semper Fi. Now, Stephanie, my friend, what I want you to do is introduce yourself to the family as we discuss your survival kit. Your survival kit for the next person and the next generation. I love it.
Oh, well, hey everybody. Wow, you gave like such a phenomenal introduction of Semper Fi, Semper Fidelis, always faithful. We appreciate that as Marines. So thank you for that grand introduction. So as for me, I'm just little Stephanie Burgess Levine from a little small town. I'm just a little country girl. It's not much to me. I think the Marine Corps has, since you introduced me as the Marine, has kind of made me who I am, or helped to make me who I am. I had some really, really great parents. I got some great friends. My family is awesome. I love them. And so I'm just this little country girl living in this big old world, striving just like everybody else, and loving God and trying to make, each day as it goes. I'm trying to fall in where I need to fall in at. So here I am falling in with you and doing this show with you. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your show.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for being here with us. Now, let's start where it all began. Now, you said you were, or you are, a little country girl. Okay.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about your upbringing and how that dictated your early years, small town
Okay.
girl.
Well, so yeah, I'm from this little small town. It's actually about 20 miles from Vicksburg, Mississippi. It's in Louisiana. And it's not pronounced as what is it, from India? It's New Delhi, but it's spelled the exact same way, Delhi. But we say Delhi, so maybe that's just a little countryness in us. But anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm from. I love it. I had a really awesome upbringing. It was a tough upbringing, but it was an awesome upbringing when I sit back and able to reflect upon my life because it could have been a lot more difficult. Didn't grow up with a lot of anything. The social economic status for me was probably at the bottom of the bucket. My parents did the best that they could with what they had, and they made it work. And to be very honest with you, I'm grateful for not having a lot because nowadays, you're grateful for what you have, and then I'm really appreciative of that. So yeah. Again, it's not a whole lot to me. But that's where my humble beginnings started from, just in that little small town, in that little small shack with some great parents and great friends. Well, one great friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still, she and I in fact have been friends since kindergarten, and she and I have been tight since then. So yeah, that's me. That's all you get from those humble beginnings.
Okay. So being from this small town, and you are kind of later in the family, right?
I am. I'm the last of the Mohicans.
Okay. Now being the
Hopefully
last
that's
of,
professional.
say it again.
Last of all the kids. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I didn't even take it like that, but I hear what you're saying. Yeah. So being the last one, because I was ready to repeat the same thing you just said. Okay. Being the last one in the family, the baby
I'm the
of the
baby.
family.
Yes.
How was that? Because sometimes with the baby, they sometimes like, she the baby. See, how did
Yes.
that go with that?
So it was good and it was bad. So my parents worked a lot, so I was there with my older siblings. In fact, my sister Sally, is the one that actually raised me. Like, my parents were there, they were a part of my life, but she is actually to be credited for how I really turned out, because I actually lived with her, and she's been like my second mom. So she was kind of tough on me, and I didn't realize, like, initially I was like, she's just a terrible big sister. But when I think about it, she had already been through trials and tribulations in her life, and she was trying to prohibit me from experiencing those same things that she had experienced. But I didn't know that until I grew up and was able to understand what this big thing of life and being an adulting means. Now that, I know, I'm really appreciative to her. So again, it was kind of good, it was kind of bad, but more so good.
Hmm. Okay. So
Yeah.
your belief system in God. Sometimes, when we're younger, we're not always there.
No.
Tell me about how your relationship and was when you were a child, when it came to your spirituality, when it came to Christ. And sometimes did your siblings or did your family, because you were the youngest, did they try to sometimes keep you away from the crowd, or was that something that you had in you that you knew, okay, you know what? I'm not going to go along just to get along. And I say that because that leadership quality. Oftentimes, when we have that leadership quality in us,
Mhm.
we don't go along with the crowd.
Yeah, so that's a very excuse me, peculiar question that you asked. So I did grow up in the church, and you know went with mom almost every Sunday. Most of the time when she was upset because we was out partying all night, I was out partying with that big sister. She was like, "Y'all gonna get up and go to church," and we like, "No, we kind of been hanging out all night." So the faith base was always there. That foundation of Christ was always there. Um, Getting caught up in the crowd of things, even when I wanted to, I was always pricked, like, young. Even when I was a teenager, up into my 20s, even into my 30s, I knew that whatever it was that wasn't pleasing to God, it was like I almost knew, like, this is not it. It wasn't like God screamed down and was like, "Don't do that." It was just like my heart was very heavy, like, "Oh, this is not right," or "You should do this," or "You shouldn't do that," or whatever. It's just like I always knew I had a somewhat of a close relationship with Christ. But it wasn't until I was in the Marine Corps and I went to Afghanistan. And I think God had been pricking my heart so many times that it took me to get hit by a roadside bomb for him to really capture the attention for me. When I was laying in a hospital bed and wasn't able to do much of anything other than what people were allowing me to do, meaning physical therapy. Let's get up and go take a walk. Let's take these meds. Let's do this. Let's do that. That's when the real connection came. So I was well into my 30s before the actual connection came. So now, nearly 50 years old, I already know when something is not right and it doesn't feel good in my heart. It's like, I don't care what it is. If it's giving a homeless person $5, if I reached out that window to give that person that $5 and God is like, this ain't genuine, I'll be like, I ain't giving them this $5. I'll get you something to eat, but I ain't giving you this money. So I feel like I have favor in not that I'm better than anyone else or my Christianity is stronger than anyone else's. It's just that I have a connection with Christ, and it wasn't until I was nearly killed that he had to bring me to my knees, because I kind of thought I was a little something back then. I could run fast, I could jump fast, I could do all these great things, but I was not doing his work. And so he slowed me right on down and said, I'm gonna let you do your thing, but you're gonna do my thing first. So
That's right. That's right. I love that. I love that. And it sounds like to me you're kind of saying that you knew that you were destined for bigger and better things. Bigger and
yeah,
better things from a
yeah.
biblical standpoint, from a life standpoint, even to the point that you chose the military. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I say
Mm-hmm.
that because I'm gonna let you tell it. Tell us about that journey from the when you first decided on the military, and why did you decide military?
So yeah, so let me tell you, the military was definitely not my first choice. My first choice was like to go to school. Well, technically, no, I'll take that back. It wasn't. It was just for me just to figure out in life what I wanted to do. But I knew that it wasn't necessarily the military. But once I went off and, to school and all this good stuff, and then of course I didn't make it and all this. Well, I just didn't make it.
Mm.
And I decided, my mom was like, you're going to have to do something. And I was like, well, what you want me to do? Because I really want to stay here and do what everybody else is doing. And again, that heart was being pricked, like, you got to do something, girl, because this is not what it is.
Yeah.
So I decided to go and join the military. But my initial military adventure was, I wanted to be in the Army, but the Army guy just did not pay me any attention. He was on the phone. And I'm like, is this going to ever get off the phone? Of course, he never got off. And he didn't even give me, hey, I'll be there in 1 minute. He didn't give me any attention. I don't know if it's the way that I looked, or he didn't think I was going to make it, or he just thought I was a waste of time. I'm not exactly sure. But I left out of the door, and the Marine Corps guy was happened to be out there smoking a cigarette, and he was like, oh, you joined the Army, huh? And I was like, no, he actually didn't get off the phone. So I don't know. He was like, well, come on over and talk to me. So that's how I ended up in the Marine Corps. It was only by chance. Like, it was, I don't know, maybe that was the destiny. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
talked mad junk to my mama. And I'm like, I'm out of here. So I went and enlisted. I want to say it was like a Wednesday and Lay. And by like the Tuesday of that following week, I was like, write my mom, like, hey, come get me. So I'm sorry, I'll do the right thing in life. And she wrote right back and was like, nah, you good. You're going to stay there. You're going to figure this thing out, because I don't raise no quitters. And I was like, I promise I'm going to do good. And she was like, well, I'll be there for graduation and you're going to stay. So she just gave me a pep talk through a letter to say, I know you can do this. You got it in you to do it, and I've always believed in you. And this is not a place for you. This small town. She didn't say that, but I can now read through the lines. Like, this is not for you. She just basically said, I want more for you than what you want for yourself, and you're gonna stay there and get it. And I did. And 20 years later.
Wow. I love that. And I love how your mom stood in the gap like that, because being her baby, I know she missed you. I'm sure she missed you. She was like, you know what? But you know what? This is bigger than me. I'm not gonna hold her back. That was big of her to go there like that. And you
Yeah,
you also had other siblings too that joined the
I
military, right?
did.
Uh huh.
I did. I had an older brother and an older sister that joined the army. Now my sister, I want to say she spent only maybe 5 or 6 years in, four to 6 years in. And my older brother, he was in the army, but he retired out and he now lives in Montana. And he always has this competitive thing with me, like he's much better. And I'm like, no, you're not, sir. You're the oldest, but
Mhm.
I'm the toughest. Maybe I am. I don't know. Now I'm not, but
Huh.
back then,
Mhm. I love it.
yeah,
I love it. So
yeah.
all you and I love how. Oh, let me ask you this: were they any of them, even though you made the decision yes to go in the military, but
Hmm.
did any of them kind of motivate you? Looking at them, did that motivate you to say, you know what? think I want to try this myself.
No, they didn't motivate me. I don't even think that they knew I was leaving. It happened within a week. And so they were much older. Now my sister Sally, she knew. But then I almost feel like she never said it, but I kind of almost feel like she was like, you ain't gonna make it because you the spoiled one, you the baby.
Right.
No, I don't know if you're gonna make it in the Marine Corps. But I did. And so yeah,
Hmm.
I didn't get any much motivation from them though.
Okay.
And maybe they didn't want me to go. I'm not sure. I need to ask them that. I'm glad you brought that to my attention. I'm like, what are you doing?
And
Yeah.
you have the other siblings too. They may not have gone in the military. Maybe they didn't branch out from, the surroundings. But everybody, hats off to parents because everyone made their own way though.
Yes. So out of all of us, my parents did not raise any unsuccessful children. I mean, even though they were not necessarily college educated. In fact, my father only went to the eighth grade, but he was a very intelligent, smart man. But all of us are, fairly independent. All of us are fairly successful. Well, I won't even want to say fairly. We all are successful in our own way,
Yeah.
So, and I love that. I'm glad that, when I look back on it, we did better than our parents. And for me personally, I'm hoping that our children, meaning my child and my siblings' children, my nieces and nephews, do better than we did. And in fact, I have a nephew he's in the Army. Well, he's in the Army Reserve. He owns his own little well, not little, I don't like using that word. He owns his little, see, I said it again. It's a football team there in Louisiana, and it's a little league football team. And he's a police officer. So he's doing really, really well. And I have a niece that's she's a sheriff, she works at the sheriff's department. She's a sheriff. And so I got so many nieces and nephews. I got them all up in Boston and everywhere, and they're doing really, really well. So I feel like they're doing better than us, and I love it.
Yeah. And I always say too, success is subjective. It's subjective.
It
You
is, right?
can't dictate to me what's successful for me. I
Yes,
can only
that's
do
just,
that. Okay?
yes,
And as long as God is at the helm of it, it's going to be a success
right,
anyway.
right,
So
right, right.
now, when you were in school, let's go back just a little. When you were in school, okay,
Hmm.
how did your teachers motivate you? Because I'm seeing this drive, like you said you had. You knew, like you said, the small town life was not exactly for you, and that's okay. Did your teachers see something too and say, like, you know what, hold on. I need to there's something more to you. There's something more for you out there.
I did have teachers to motivate me, and I think they saw more in me than I saw in myself at that time frame. And is it okay to drop names? I want to drop some names because these teachers actually really did motivate me.
Yeah.
One in particular, she really it seems really weird and in simplicity here, but Mrs. Howard, Virginia Howard, she told me how to answer a phone because she was our English teacher, and I love that lady. She was such a, I mean, even though she was from that small city that we were from, she had this very immaculate voice per se, or her speech was very immaculate. And when I say she taught me how to answer a phone, where I'm from, when somebody call you and they go, "Oh, let me speak to Stephanie," you go, "Oh, this her," and she would say, "No, that's incorrect. You say this is she." And that was like in 10th grade. So now when somebody calls me, I don't care who they are, if they're calling to say you won the lottery, or they calling to say, "Hey, you forgot to pay your bill," or something, which I try not to ever forget that. And they ask to speak to Stephanie. I'm like, "This is she." I always think about Miss Howard. I always
That's
think
all
about her.
right.
So hopefully she's watching this. Hey, Miss Howard, if you're
Yeah.
watching this.
Yeah.
Um, and Coach McDade, he was our coach, and he was such an awesome guy, man. I mean, like, he just motivated us in not any one particular way. But he had that oomph about him that would push us forward. Him and another coach, Coach Williams, they were just great mentors, should I say. So I want to give some kudos to them. They were some good people.
Yeah, it's fine. And family, I'm gonna have to apologize to you all because something is going on with my video. I don't know if y'all know. I'm kind of lagging a little bit. I don't think it's my voice per se, but y'all know how social media does not always cooperate. But as long as you're getting the message, try not to pay too much attention to the video. Okay. 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 So let's continue. I just had to put that little disclaimer out in case they was like, "What is going on with you?" Okay. So
Yeah.
once you did your, let's talk about boot camp a little bit, just a little
Okay.
bit, because I've heard some things about boot camp. Okay, I hear some good, I heard the bad, I heard the ugly. How was your experience? And tell me, once you completed that sense of accomplishment that you had, or did you have a sense of accomplishment?
Absolutely, I had a sense of accomplishment. Marine Corps boot camp was tough. I was right, like I said, I was writing letters. I'm like, hey, what you gonna give me? This is crazy. But it wasn't. I think that people imagine like the Marine Corps boot camp as this like they're over here hazing you to death and making you feel like you just ready to just leave this world. And you do feel like that, but it's not. You don't really feel like that. Like each day is an accomplishment. And I think what I know is what happened now is that they just broke everybody down. They had to, it was tough, but they had to break everybody down to the same level in order to achieve a goal. And that means unity. Like they had to break us all down to bring us all together to work as one. And the reason why is because we got all these different backgrounds. You got me, this little country girl that is from Louisiana. You got whomever from New York that's used to doing whatever in New York, and then you got some folks over here in Montana. You got all these different backgrounds, and we're not going to talk about the different lifestyles that people grew up in. I mean, some grew up poor, some grew up rich, some grew up, in abusive homes. You got all these different people, personalities, and things, and there's no way you can't break everybody down to the exact same level to build everybody up. And you have to realize it's about a team. Like if one teammate is not doing what he or she is supposed to do, 9 times out of 10, something's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I just think that the military in general, not just the Marine Corps, but strategically, it is equipped to be tough in order for you to appreciate that person on your left or your right, to say, these are my brothers, these are my sisters, and I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make it work for them. Together, collaboratively, we're going to do this thing together. So,
I love
so
that.
yeah.
I love that mentality because, like you said, it teaches you you're not any better, you're not any worse.
Right.
We're together, and that's a
Yeah.
good message because you're going to need that if you're ever put in the trenches. You need to
Yes.
know that you all are together like that.
Yes.
And I hear you say that you had a sense of accomplishments. What about mom? Because she pushed you. She pushed you to say, no,
Ah,
you ain't coming here. How did she
yes.
handle that?
So I never really saw my mom cry a lot, ever. I mean, like maybe somebody passed away, which is natural for somebody to cry, but of happiness. Like she was so happy that she was like bawling, boohooing, crying. Like, look at and my cousin came too. She was boohooing and crying, came to my boot camp graduation. I'm like, all these people are crying. Like, what is really going on? Because I had never seen that. So because we some hard people too. Like even though we loving and all that, we still kind of got this little hard shell about us. So to see them cry, it was like, oh my goodness, now here I am crying. So yeah, I know for sure that my mom was happy about not coming to pick me up. Not that she could have, but she couldn't
Wow.
have broke down the gates and came in here and got me. But yeah, I'm glad she didn't come. I'm glad she didn't even make a fuss about it. I'm glad she saw in me what I didn't see in me, and that was the sense of accomplishment, to feel some pride about myself, because that was literally graduating from boot camp was the very first time that I ever felt like, it was an aha moment. Like I did something. I
That's
did
something.
something that somebody else didn't do. I mean, at least for my small town.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure
it was
there's a
good.
sense of accomplishment, like I said, because Well, the stories I've heard of Marines are the tough ones. Okay. Now,
We're pretty tough. I
pretty
think
tough. There you go.
I think
Okay,
we're pretty tough.
now your first years in the
Hmm.
military, because some think that boot camp. Yep, I've heard sometimes if you can get through Marine boot camp, you the rest of you is no big deal. You can get through that. Tell me about the first years, and did you knew for sure? Okay, I'm gonna stay. I did this. I got this. Tell me about those first 4 years
Well, I
or
don't
first
know
few
about
years.
if you can if as soon as you make it through boot camp you can say, "Oh, I can do this. It's easy breezy now." No, it gets tougher. For me it did anyway. It gets tougher because when you were in boot camp, you got people, holding your hand and telling you what to do. But once you are out of boot camp and you're like at your first duty station or whatever, I mean, you got leaders and you got great leaders, but you out here on your own, and once you make, rank, you're responsible for other people. So the more rank you get, or the longer you stay in, or the further you go, I would say in any branch, it's not just the Marine Corps, your life gets tougher because now you're responsible for little people that are not yours. They are not your biological children, but you got to make sure you're responsible if they go out and get a DUI. You're responsible if they pop positive on a urinalysis. You're
Wow.
responsible if they don't show up for work. Calling them, they're calling you saying, "Hey, Gunny, where's so and so?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know where they are, Captain, but I'm gonna see." And then for things that you don't know that they've done, and say higher ups get it before you get it, now you gotta go stand before the man and figure out a master plan to get this thing back together, so you don't look like the unaccomplished, don't know what's happening staff NCO. So yeah, I think it gets harder after boot camp. I would rather go back to boot camp. And I would have rather just been at boot camp. So I
Wow. I
was like, man,
That's something I didn't know that about the. Okay, me and military don't go together. I know absolutely nothing about the military. I did not know that
think
you're
so. That's my experience. I mean,
yeah.
you may talk to another Marine and they may be like, "Oh, I loved it. It was great." And boot
Mhm.
camp was the hardest thing. And the farther I went in rank, the easier it got.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just me saying that. So
Right. I understand. What tell me what you think of when you hear one tool. One tool. And I say that because tools sometimes break and
yeah.
sometimes we need to be broken. Tell me about that.
So yeah, I guess when I hear tool, I think of I think of Christ. And I think of God. I think that we're tools. And sometimes he kind of got to break us and sharpen us up to make us better. And he uses us. We are just like these screwdrivers, we're these Phillip head, we're wire pliers, we're whatever God needs us to be. And sometimes we are trying to use ourselves in situations that just don't fit. And so he kind of got to draw us back and be like, "This is not what I need you to do. I need you to stay out of my business. And you're not the tool that I'm trying to use right now. You're a Phillip head screwdriver, and I need a flathead. So unless you're trying to change up some stuff, I got this over here." So when I think of tools, I think of being used. I think of being sharpened. I think of being broken, and I think of being replaced. But we are tools, and I think we're tools to God, and He is just that mechanism. He's ultimately this big machine that's using us.
Wow.
And so
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
love that. I hear you saying that he's the mechanical processor
He is.
of
He
this
is
thing called life.
indeed.
That's powerful.
Yes,
That's a powerful statement.
he is.
How do you personalize that to you? How was he your mechanical processor? And I think, as you mentioned before, that you had a incident that happened while you were in the military. So you had to
Yeah.
depend on him even more during that time.
I did. So
Hmm.
I just think that God had been trying to use me from the very beginning, but I was too shallow or too something that I just wasn't connecting with him. Or it wasn't that I wasn't connecting with him. I just chose not to. It was like, I don't want to do that. And so I just think that he kept, as I stated earlier, he kept pricking my heart, but I kept ignoring it. So I just think that he had to really bring me all the way down to bear nothing, almost like boot camp. He had to strip me all the way back down to build me back up.
Wow.
And so yeah, I got into an explosion in Afghanistan. I sustained a traumatic brain injury, but that thing helped me so much. I know people look and go when I say like it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Had that not happened to me, I'd have still been running around here doing all the wrong stuff. And I don't mean like wrong stuff like harming people, but I was doing the wrong thing because I wasn't following in his way. I wasn't really going to church. I really wasn't, I was just doing my own thing and I wasn't, I believe in Christ, of course, but I was not doing what I needed to do, like building people up. Like I wasn't doing it. Like he would prick my heart, like on a simple run in the Marine Corps, where there are other females that are behind, and because I'm a better runner than they are, I'm like, you can't do better. It's like I'm tearing them down. And instead of me finishing my race and going back to get them, I didn't do it. I'm like waiting at the finish line with other people that are riding them and not necessarily mean, but not being nice. When people are at their worst, they need somebody to tell them it's going to be okay. So God, every time I did it, he was like, yeah, so why do you do that? Like, you need to be doing my stuff. Like he's silently telling me in my heart more so. But when he laid it on me and laid me out where I had nothing else to do but listen to him day in and day out while I was laying in a hospital bed, I got it. I was like, okay, God, I got it. And I was like, from now on out in life, when I feel that in my heart, I know it's you and I know what you want me to do. And if I don't know exactly what you want me to do, then I'll wait in the hallway until you open that door. And once that
Okay.
door is open, either I ain't gonna have to knock. I'm gonna know.
I
So
love
yeah.
that. And I heard you said too that your family, you are kind of reared to be kind of tough, or
Yes.
So does being a in that type of family and also a career soldier, does it make it easy for you to develop thick skin as you were furthering in life? And what things have to prick you for you to really feel it in your heart? Does it take much? Tell me about that.
It
Being a
does
soldier.
not. Well, I'm actually a Marine, so I'm
I
not a
keep
soldier.
saying soldier. I'm so sorry. Marine, y'all, they take that serious now. Don't soldier, Marine, two different things. I am so sorry. I keep going flip
No,
flop. I apologize. Go ahead.
no problem. So, you made me forget what you just asked me. What you just asked me? How was it
No,
being
I said
so
being a
being reared
Marine.
up so tough? Yeah.
Yeah.
So being reared tough like that, it was kind of complicated back then because we believe in fighting about every single thing. But now that I know better in life, the smallest thing, like even though I'm a fighter, I in heart, like not, I'm like I can't fist fight nobody no more. Them days are over. Like you would have called me about 20 years ago, and somebody have been like, "Oh, girl, I don't like your earrings." I'd be like, "Well, meet me out back." But now it's like, hey, it's okay that you don't like my earrings, but I am for the underdog. Like I'm a fighter for the underdog. If you losing, I'm here to fight for you. And I don't mean physically. Even if it's just to give you a hug, it's to show you some love. Hey girl or hey guy, you want to hang out later? And let's catch a movie. Like I'm for the underdog. Even the Dallas Cowboys, I don't really know a lot about football, but they losing, and every time I turn on the TV, people are talking junk about them on Facebook, on TV, everywhere, and I'm like, I want them to win, even though I'm not for them. They the other ones that people talking about, it's like, leave there's a lot of other NFL teams that are losing too. Like, come on, yeah, that's all y'all got. Maybe because they're the America's team, everybody like on them so bad, but I'm feeling sorry for them.
I love that. I love that. You're for the underdog. And actually, as Christians, that's what we're called to do. So you're doing it
Yeah,
right because we're called to go out. And that one we're going out to find is the underdog. It's the one
yeah,
who needs this hospital, the church. So
yes.
you're doing it right. Your spirit is in the right place, okay? So being a perfectionist, okay?
Oh boy.
Tell me about that. Are you a perfectionist? And if so, has it helped
I
you?
am.
Okay.
Damn, how did you know? I am, but I keep failing at this perfectionist thing because I haven't yet arrived to understand that God is the only perfect person. But here on earth, I'd be like, if you don't move this table the way it's supposed to be, this is not on the line. I'm a perfectionist in that manner, but it's terrible. And I probably drive my family crazy. And if it's not done right, I just go do it. Trying to be a perfectionist is it's hurtful and it's tiresome, but I keep doing it. It's like it's an insanity doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results, but I haven't got those results that I want thus far. So because that means that I'm just not perfect. I'm just an individual trying to do perfect stuff
Yeah,
you know
yeah. I love that. I love that. Because you're right, it can be heavy.
yes.
Because we're not perfect and you're trying to stay at a level. We got to come down sometimes.
Yeah, I
You
just want
know,
everybody to win, to be honest. And so maybe that's a perfectionist thing too, because again, that goes back to the underdog. I'm like, if I could just give the Dallas Cowboys some pointers, like, is there anything that they're missing that maybe I'm seeing and I get them some pointers on it, or even a friend, or even if you're down and out, and I'm like, I guess you know what? I don't even know if the word is perfectionist. Maybe I'm just trying to say the world and I can't.
I like that too.
That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
we're gonna shift that. I like that. Trying to save the world. You're gonna do your best. How about that?
I do
Now
my
you were
best.
stationed in
Hmm.
Afghanistan, okay?
Yes. Hmm.
And you told me that there was a roadside bomb incident, okay?
Yes.
What was the
Hmm.
result of that? And just tell me about that because it took you a while to recuperate for that, the total, not just in the hospital, but the whole process. Tell me about that.
So it was a very, very tough process. So again, as I stated earlier, I got hit by a roadside bomb. I was in a vehicle with three other individuals. Two was from the Army, the other one was from the Navy. I was the only Marine. And I mean, we made it, and it needed to happen for me. I don't know about for them. They just probably happened to be in there, God trying to prick my heart, and they just happened to be in a vehicle with me to get my attention. But so yeah, it took a lot for me to get back to this thing called life. I mean, I was in and out of the hospital days at a time, back and forth, doing treatment, getting MRIs, going through therapy, getting blood draws, doing it was just it was a lot. But ultimately, outside of all of those things, this explosion affected me mentally. I had just a little baby, like my now 17-year-old was like a year old back then. Like I had left her. And so mentally it impacted me unfavorably. It had me at a point where I was questioning my life. Like, why did you let me live? Like, I should have just died. Like, why? But, I made it through, and it was very, very difficult. And in fact, I still struggle with it now. Even though that happened in 2007 and it's 2023, I still struggle with it. More so with my kid because I'm like, I don't really want you to go out. I hear an ambulance and she's not home. I'm like calling her, like, hey, are you all right? And she's like, Mom, yeah, I'm at the game. I told you this is where I was going to be. So
Mhm.
post-traumatic stress disorder is a very, very serious thing. And I just think that being in the military, or had been in the military, it doesn't work like it used to work. say in Vietnam or those areas of World War II, these individuals had an opportunity to kind of decompress on the way back because maybe they came back on a boat or it took them a longer process to come back. But for us, that's in this era here with, say, Afghanistan or Iraq, I mean, we was once the tour was over, we was right back on the bird and back at home the next day. So imagine having to be fighting or listening, not even fighting, or just be hearing gunshots and bombs going off and all of this all day long for 6 months or a year, however long these individuals have been there. And then the next day you just back over here in America and everything's fine. You back in New York or small town Delhi where there's nothing popping off and people looking at you like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you want to be around people? Or why are you doing this? It's called post-traumatic stress disorder. And it really doesn't feel good, especially when people are not knowledgeable about it. I just think that that's one thing, and just my personal opinion about it. And I just think that it needs to be put out on the forefront for people to understand, more so families. Families need to know that when their soldier or their Marine or their sailor or whomever comes back from these foreign deployments, they're not going to be the same. Yeah. They are physically, but mentally, they're not. And I haven't been the same since 2007. Wow. But it's a better me. I mean, to a certain degree. I mean, but I still suffer from PTSD.
Right. Do you think, too, because I hear that. Mm. Do you think that has inspired you even more to be the lover of the underdog, to try to help? Because
yes.
you know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that it has, because outside of the explosion itself, I mean, just seeing the people there, I mean, I think that I came from a poor city that I absolutely love. Like I love my city, but you know, everybody there is not necessarily as prosperous as the folks over in New York or wherever. But yeah, just to see the people there, these people are hurting, and we take little small town Delhi or big time New York for granted, or America in general. So if some of these people here that have never seen combat or just never been outside of this country, even to, I don't know, wherever that there may be some things going on, they would learn to appreciate great old America, because it is a great place to live, but we spoiled. We're spoiled. Some folks are. Now, I'm not going to say absolute. It's not an absolute. We're spoiled, and we don't know the privilege that we have. It's awful there. And so I just think it just came from being there has given my heart a different spin on things, like of wanting to help or wanting to love more. Because I mean, the women there, some of them women they'd be better off being an animal than to be a woman there. You know, you get a dog get treated better than a woman, you know? So, and you're looking at them like, you gonna let him treat you like that? Wow. This wouldn't happen in America.
Yeah.
You know.
I know that's right.
Yeah. So
I love that. And what I'm hearing too is that you gotta let that light shine and continue to build that favor with Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And that nothing, when you say that we are privileged and we are spoiled, I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Favor is not those tangible things, is it?
No, absolutely
not. It's
rather
not. God's love. That's the thing that when you say that we are fortunate,
yes, we are.
Not only from other countries that are less fortunate, but also just our faith. That's the thing that matters. We can't touch it. That's the most important thing. Tell me, what's your thoughts about that?
So, if I could give an example, we here get to serve any God that we want to when it comes to faith and beliefs and Christianity or whatever we want to do here, we get to do it. But if I get to reflect back on Afghanistan, there's no Christianity there. You get to serve what they tell you to serve. And so that's why my faith is great right now. I sometimes be slipping, but don't tell anybody. But my faith in Christ, to know that he's going to be there for me in any circumstance, whether it's Afghanistan or it's Portsmouth, or if I'm driving to church on Granby Street, I know that God is going to protect me and things are going to work out just the way he wants them to work out. It's not about Stephanie. Yet my faith is just not, it's there. It's solid in him. But when I think back on some of the folks in those other countries, they don't get to have the faith that I have. Not openly. Let me say that. Openly. I get to have open faith, open beliefs, open praise and worship, and they don't necessarily get to do that. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. We got a choice.
We have choices, right?
We have choices, and that's beautiful. How does your survival kit look for the next person? And I hear you say that you the underdog, and but when that survival kit, how can you motivate someone else to maybe put some tools, put some things in their survival kit so that they can be there and stand in the gap for somebody else? What does that look like to you?
I just think too that it's not anything in particular, but a simple smile can change somebody's day. A simple, hey, how you doing on the grocery store aisle can change somebody's entire day. Um, Handing $1 out of the window to an individual that may or may not be homeless can change their entire day. So it's not anything in particular. It's just what pricks your heart. But you know that pricking is from Christ. And so if it's me saying hey to this old lady in the grocery store, yeah, and I change her life, then that's what my day-to-day toolbox may look like.
Yeah. Sometimes people have even like you said, if you give them a smile, you come into the room, everybody's in their phone and doing their own thing. How are everybody doing today? I've done that, yeah, but I've seen people do it, and it reminds me, and I have to tell them, thank you for your smile. Thank you for that, because you reminded me of what I wasn't doing right then.
Right.
Because sometimes we can get a little self-absorbed. I know Rosalind can.
Yeah.
And I forget it's not all about me. I have to tell myself on a regular basis, it's not about me. Even though it seems like I'm being persecuted, even though I seem like I'm going through something, it's still not about me, because it's for a reason.
Right.
Still, always. What does life look like now? What does it look like now?
Life looks pretty good right now. It's not perfect, but it looks good because I have Christ in me. And I'm hoping that the Christ in me can radiate positively towards somebody else, and it changes somebody else's life. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Am I striving to be perfect? Yes. Do I keep failing at it? Absolutely, because I'm not Christ. But what he has instilled in me, I hope that, again, I'm able to impact somebody else positively.
That's right. I love that. I love that. Pay it forward, as you said, right?
Pay it forward.
I remember you telling me, too, that you were still simmering. You're still percolating in life. I love that.
Yes, I'm still not done. Like, I'm not done until I'm done. And so, yeah, as I stated to you in our earlier talks, that, yeah, I'm just like a coffee pot and I'm simmering. People smell me, but I ain't all the way ready yet. And they may smell some leftover coffee from the day before. And so the bag needs to be changed to the little, what do you call the little thing that's in there? That little thing that you dump the coffee in. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I smell it and it smells good, but so people may smell me percolating, but I'm not done. I'm not complete yet.
I hear you.
I'm still a fresh brew.
I love it. I love it. let me ask you one last question, then we're going to hear about some of the things that you have going on and how we can keep in touch with you. I want you to finish this. When life happens, that perfectionist or those perfectionist tendencies
Mm-hmm.
try to take over. Yes
Mm-hmm.
or no?
Yes. Yes, they do. However, I know my limits. And if I'm feeling stressed about it or I'm getting teary eyed about it, I know that it ain't my business. And I know that I am not that tool that God's trying to use right now. Sit on over there and wait for him to figure out what he want to do for you. And it may be somebody else's business to be trying to help me. I can't do it.
I love it.
So,
I love it. And that takes maturity
yeah,
to realize it ain't my business.
ain't my business.
It ain't my business.
Even though it is my business, it ain't my business.
It ain't.
God is using somebody else to help me because I ain't perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes it's just not our charge. I'm just
Right.
getting that. I'm just getting that one. It's sometimes it's hard because I want to input. I want to always get my input, but I have to keep telling myself, Rosalind, it ain't your charge. And Miss Shirley
Mm-hmm.
Harris said she's with you. She put a message
Oh,
in there and gave you all kind of kisses and everything. So,
oh,
so
Sister
how?
Harris.
Yeah. Say it again.
I said, thank you, Sister Harris.
Okay, what you told me what life's looking like now, how you're simmering and
Mm-hmm.
percolating and trying to
Mm-hmm.
allow those perfectionists to put them at bay when they try to rear their head. How
Yeah.
can the family get in touch with you? Do you have any platforms, or are you on the Facebook?
I don't have any platforms. I'm not like special like that. I think I might have maybe 150 friends on Facebook because I am not. Well, you happen to not be at the family meeting that we had on Sunday, and I was telling the congregation that I am not electronically inclined. But you can always catch me on Facebook. Well, maybe not always, but you can catch me on Facebook. I'm Stephanie Burgess Levine on Facebook, so you can find me there.
All
And
right, I love
I'm
it.
not I'm not an Instagram type of girl because I don't know how it works. The little I don't even know what it is, to be honest. My daughter set it up for me, so I probably should drag her in here to tell her. Once I get famous a little bit, then I might start being like a little more popular on these social media things. But right now, I just go with whatever God got for me.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
And family, if you did not get everything that she just delivered to us, you can always